Imagine a realm beyond our own, where the veil between worlds grows thin and heroes dare to tread. To the ancient Celts, death was not the end, and life was not the whole story. They believed in the otherworld, a place shimmering with feasts, music, and endless beauty, but also hidden dangers. This mystical land was no simple heaven or hell, but a complex tapestry of wonder and peril. Picture emerald hills bathed in an ethereal glow, forests where every leaf seems to whisper ancient secrets, and mist-shrouded lakes that mirror the stars above. Here, the very air thrums with magic, and every step might lead to glory or doom. Heroes of old found their way to this realm through sacred portals scattered across the mortal world. A warrior might stumble through a burial mound, its earthen walls suddenly giving way to a shimmering passage. Others followed winding rivers that seemed to flow uphill, defying nature's laws as they crossed the threshold between realities. Some even rode through enchanted fogs, emerging on shores where the sand glittered like stardust beneath their feet. But those who entered the otherworld soon discovered its most bewildering trait. Time flowed differently there, as fickle and unpredictable as a mountain stream. What felt like mere hours in that realm of eternal twilight could mean decades, even centuries lost in the world of mortals. A hero might dance at a fairy feast for a single night, only to return home and find his village turned to ruins, his loved ones long since dust. This warping of time added both allure and danger to every otherworldly journey. Imagine the temptation of endless youth, of days that stretch on like golden summer evenings, free from the ravages of age. Yet with each moment of bliss, the price grew steeper. Every laugh shared with immortal beings, every sip from magical cups, pulled the traveler further from their mortal roots. And the other world tempted not just with timeless beauty, but with gifts of power beyond mortal dreams. Weapons that never missed their mark. Forged in fires older than the stars themselves. Cauldrons that bubbled with endless bounty, promising feasts that could sustain entire kingdoms. Cloaks of invisibility woven from shadow and starlight. Love so pure and fierce it could shake the foundations of reality.
Audi.
But as with all things in this realm of duality, each blessing carried a shadow. The unbeatable sword might thirst for blood, driving its wielder to madness. The bottomless cauldron could drain the very life force of those who ate too greedily. And love found in the otherworld. It often burned too bright for mortal hearts to bear, leaving only ashes and longing in its wake. Tales of these journeys beyond the veil have captivated imaginations for centuries. Perhaps none is more poignant than the story of the great warrior poet who followed his heart into Tir na Inji, the land of eternal youth, enchanted by the radiant Niev of the golden hair, rode with her across sun-dappled waves to a shore where time stood still. For what seemed like 3 blissful years, reveled in the delights of Tir na Inji. He hunted with heroes of legend, composed songs that made the very stars weep, and basked in Niam's otherworldly love. But a longing for his mortal home gnawed at his heart, until finally he begged to return, if only for a day. Niev, with sorrow in her eyes, lent him her magical steed, warning him never to touch the ground of Ireland. But fate, as it often does in such tales, had other plans. When saw men struggling to move a boulder, his warrior's pride compelled him to help. As he strained against the stone, the saddle girth snapped. In that instant, as foot touched Irish soil, the weight of centuries crashed upon him. His golden youth withered away, leaving him a frail, ancient man. The Ireland he knew was gone, his family and comrades long since passed into legend. In helping others, he had lost everything he held dear. Tale serves as a stark reminder of the double-edged nature of otherworldly gifts. The glory of timeless youth came at the cost of everything familiar and loved. His journey beyond brought both triumph and tragedy, a bittersweet symphony that echoes through countless Celtic myths. These stories of the otherworld speak to something deep within us, a yearning for the extraordinary that persists even in our modern age. They whisper of realms just beyond our reach, where the impossible becomes real and the mundane fades away like morning mist. But they also warn us of the prices we might pay for touching such wonders. In every tale of the Celtic Otherworld, we find a delicate balance. The promise of power, beauty, and knowledge beyond mortal ken stands in stark contrast to the risk of losing oneself entirely. Heroes who ventured there might return with gifts that change the course of history or fade into the mists, never to be seen again. As we ponder these ancient tales, we can't help but wonder, what would we do if faced with such a choice? Would we dare to step through that shimmering veil, knowing the risks that await on the other side? The allure of the extraordinary tugs at our hearts, even as caution whispers in our ears. Perhaps the true magic of these stories lies not in the fantastical realms they describe, but in the questions they force us to ask ourselves. How much would we sacrifice for a taste of the divine? What price are we willing to pay for knowledge, power, or love that transcends mortal bounds? In a world that often feels mundane and predictable, the Celtic Otherworld reminds us that mystery and wonder still exist, if only we dare to seek them out. It challenges us to look beyond the veil of everyday life, to find the extraordinary hidden within the ordinary. So as you go about your day, keep your eyes open for those thin places where our world and the otherworld might intersect. Listen for the faint strains of otherworldly music carried on the wind. And ask yourself, if given the chance, would you risk stepping into the otherworld, knowing that glory and doom often come hand in hand?